Hey everyone, it's Types, and today I have some awesome custom cards to show you. These are ones that I made, and I know some of you aren't the biggest fans of custom cards, but I promise you guys are going to get a massive kick out of these. They're really cool and fun, and they're part of a contest held on the Pokemon TCG Live League or Pokemon TCG Online League. I don't know. It's some Discord server where they do various things, really cool things. I've talked about them in the past. They ran the mini league. They ran all sorts of cool events, and they run these custom card contests. So I'm going to be reviewing cards that I made for these contests. I believe I made these over the course of a month. And then I should have linked below in the description to the Discord server, as well as the tools I use to make these cards. So, yeah, I just wanted to show these off. And first of all, I'll show the first prompt or first challenge. This one here was to create an item card which allows you to search your deck for one or more Pokemon. As I said, I'm just going to be showing off my cards. If you wanted to see other people's cards, if you want to see the winning cards, I might be able to show you those as well if you're interested in them. So tell me if you're interested in that. I need, of course, permission before I do that, but I probably can get that. Anyway, so, of course, this is a very simple, essentially ball search type card. So item card that searches for Pokemon. And this is very common. We see this in cards like Pokeball, Ultra Ball, Nest Ball, Great Ball. Like, not Great Ball doesn't actually search your deck, but then also stuff like Battle VIP Pass, Capturing Room as well. So I decided to keep with that theme and create a Pokeball style card. But generally, the more I develop cards and the more I've made cards, I realized that in custom cards, you need to make something unique and different. So I decided to make the card below average size balls. So this is a card that I made and I thought was really interesting. Of course, it's an item search, ball search based card. So it says search your deck for 2 Pokemon, each with a weight of 20 pounds or less. Reveal them and put them into your hand, then shuffle your deck. So if you didn't know, each Pokemon card has the Pokemon's weight on it. And I made a ruling. It's not written on here. This card, I could add it, but that says that you can't search for cards that don't have their weight on them, aka Pokemon Vs or stuff like that. So I have this card here, and it's interesting. It searches for 2 Pokemon, but they need to be light, so it's kind of fun thematically and interesting thematically, and unique in that way because it's not really something we've seen before. I don't know if we've ever seen a card interact with weight. I know we've seen interactions with height, but yeah, this is interesting. I want to do something different and something cool and something flashy, I guess. The art here isn't amazing. I kind of rushed. I just threw something together. These cards are not perfect by any means. You'll see some mistakes on them. And a bit of a spoiler, I did not win any of the contests either. I did okay, certainly, in them. But yeah, I enjoyed making this. This is the first one I made as well. And I learned a lot going through this process as well. Next, the second challenge I participated in was create a card that names a specific Pokemon in its text, such as with Mousehold, which does more for each other Mousehold you have in play, Dundozo, which does more damage for each Tatsugiri you have in your Scout Pile, and Ribbon Badge, which directly interacts with Sylveon, V, and VMAX, allowing that Pokemon to give up less prizes. So these all directly refer to a specific Pokemon. This says the card can be a Pokemon trainer or energy. So I went with actually a few Pokemon. And the big issue I have here, I made a mistake in the Kyurem card, but aside from that, I think the design idea is very strong here. So I have a Kyurem, which is the big, interesting attacker here. And it's a dragon type, and this is capturing the idea. This is where I like to go in with things thematically. Kyurem here says it can use the attacks of any restaurant, second more Kyurem on your bench or on your disco pal, and you still need the necessary energy to use each attack. This is reminiscent of Mewtwo and Mew, one of my favorite Pokemon ever, and I want to reflect that in this one as well. And then its attack here, which I forgot to name and display the damage, but discard any number of Reshiram, Zekrom, and or Kyurem cards from your hand. And Snack does 50 damage for each card discarded in this way. This is kind of like Baby Blacephalon or similar cards, so it kind of uses it as ammo, which is kind of fun. And then, of course, has synergy with its ability here, allowing you to copy those Pokemon once they're in the discard pile. So it has synergy within itself, which is good. It also has... It's like nice overall, and I think it's just well-rounded. It's not too powerful, too bad. I think it's quite solid, but I like this design idea. And of course, Kyurem, Zekrom, and Reshiram all have like different types that they want to use, so it's a bit weird and a bit awkward to have to navigate that at certain times. But then going to the left here, Zekrom, all these have 130 HP. This one, of course, a lightning type Pokemon, and it says if both Reshiram and Kyurem are on your bench, your opponent's active is now paralyzed, doing 90 damage as well. So nice paralysis attacker, of course, keeping up with the theme of lightning Pokemon, especially Zekrom, paralyzing opponents. And it's not exactly like other Zekroms either. I didn't want to just copy some other Zekrom, so I made it noticeably different. And so I think this is a really cool idea. Of course, I'm kind of gushing over my own cards, but, I like this one. This is definitely the best set of cards, like the most seriously good set of cards I made, I think. But there's some other interesting ones as well, and some other funny ones. And then this Reshiram here, Dragon Flare, which does 60 for Fire Colorless, and then if both Zekrom and Kyurem are on your bench, then you get to burn your opponent's active, and instead of putting 2 damage counters, you put 8 damage counters during Pokemon checkup. So this is a big chunk of damage, and very powerful, but of course you need lots of things going on. Compare with the Kyurem, you don't have to pair it with the Kyurem. But overall, it's really interesting. Of course, the Kyurem here does not have weakness, which debatably is a bit of an oversight. I suppose I should talk about the inspiration. Reshiram and Zekrom are some of my favorite Pokemon, and based on the lore of Black and White, or the lore of Pokemon in general, Kyurem, Reshiram, and Zekrom were fused originally to make the original dragon here, which is the naming of the ability for Kyurem. Yeah, so that's about it. But I thought this one was really cool. These are generally the most well-crafted ones I have here. Of course, other than forgetting some of the stuff on Kyurem. But I hope you enjoyed these ones. And now to the third challenge. This is designed 2 training cards to interact in some way, so kind of similar. They can be any combination of supporters, stems, and items and or tools. It's up to you. So yeah, these were probably my most rushed by going with one of my favorite characters, Alan. Or is it Elaine? Alan? I think it's Alan. He's a really cool character from X and Y. And again, one of the characters that I found really interesting. That also doesn't have a card in the format in Pokemon, is kind of underloved, but still a really cool character, often overshadowed by N, as well as in some senses Diantha. But anyways, we have a land Prism Star here, and then a regular one. But it says put in a land card from your discard pile into the Lost Zone if you did take a prize card. So that's pretty insane, very powerful. But of course, at the same time, it's a Prism Star, so you can only use one of this card per game. And you need to have the other line, and this one's not necessarily an amazing card, but it's not a bad one either. Discard your hand, search your deck for a Pokemon, and put it onto your bench, then shuffle your deck. This allows you to get any Pokemon into play from your deck, but at the same time, you lose your hand. So that's a pretty big deal. This can accelerate anything into play. This can accelerate an engine card. This can accelerate an attacker. If you've seen Archie's Blastoise, it's kind of like that. Easier to pull off, but with slightly less of a reward because it doesn't get you to draw cards after, so you're kind of in a very risky spot. So these 2 cards don't necessarily have a ton of synergy, other than they directly the Prism Star directly references the regular card. Also, there's not, as I said, this character doesn't have a lot of love, so there's not a lot of art of this character either, which is unfortunate. But anyways, yeah, this is the card. It's really cool. I think the idea of like cards directly interacting, and also like it's a bit crazy with just taking prizes, accelerating Pokemon directly into play. We see stuff kind of like this, but this is kicked up in power level a little bit. There's a reason these cards aren't printed regularly, but I think giving it a nice little spin is really cool in this setting. And next up, the 4th challenge, and the second last one we're going to be looking at here. It was very simple. Just create a special energy card. So unsurprisingly, me being the rebellious soul that I am, I decided to create a special energy card that wasn't exactly a special energy card. This one did have some problems that some people pointed out, but it's kind of funny. So substitute energy, kind of functioning like Robo Substitute. First of all, as long as this card is attached to a Pokemon, it provides a colorless energy, generic special energy stuff. It's a special energy, of course, as well. If the Pokemon this card is attached to is knocked out, you may play this card as if it were a 30 HP colorless basic Pokemon as your new active Pokemon, and then it can't retreat, and if it's knocked out, your opponent doesn't take any prize cards. Now, if you have multiple substitute energy, it's not clear what to do if they all become the active Pokemon. Someone said that this would allow you to have 4 active Pokemon at the same time, which is, of course, problematic, but we'll ignore that for now, and just have the idea that this provides an energy that sticks into play as a substitute-based card. So this is kind of interesting. It does stick itself straight into the active, and it's very difficult to kind of deal with. but at the same time, it's awkward to set up because your opponent needs to be hitting into you to enable this type of combo. So it's really interesting. I think I've always been fascinated with cards like Lily's Pokédoll, Robo Substitute, the old fossils as well. So I think it's interesting just not giving up any prizes. And I wanted to make it in this idea of a special energy. Of course, this is not very much of a special energy. It's more so very similar to Lily's Pokédoll. But I don't know. I just really enjoyed this one. It can definitely be very difficult to deal with, but very powerful, very swingy one, as you can clearly see why it's not actually a real card. It's very messy and complicated as well. But yeah, I think this card's really cool, and I hope you also think it's cool. And lastly, this one is the most recent one I did. So when I said I did not win a challenge yet, this one's actually still going on. But by the time this will be posted, it probably won't be. But the challenge is create a trainer card that has 15 words or less of text. So this is very simple. So I decided to make something even simpler because 15 words is actually a lot. When I looked at the other entries, they had serious value to them. But I went with one called Magic Coin, inspired by Magikarp, with the koi. It's like koi, the fish. It's fun. It just is flip a coin, right? I want to make an interesting card here that's very unique and original. So we haven't seen cards just flip coins, and I think it's cool, allowing you to create a very interesting card that's, of course, somewhat inconsistent. Coin flip cards are always inconsistent. But you can pair it with things to make it more consistent. We've always often had that aspect in this Pokemon TCG. I think that I like the fact that this has synergy with those cards. And overall, I really like this card. I think it's a very fun, obviously it's a silly card, but it's a cool card that I was very happy to submit. But I hope you enjoyed this video. Obviously, I've been enjoying making these cards and videos as well. So if you want to see more of this, I'd really love it if you liked or commented. And I promise I'm going to be coming out with some awesome content in the next few days, and few weeks, and few months. I hope I can keep doing this for a while. I'm very much enjoying it. But if you want to see that, I love it if you subscribe. That means a ton to me, so I can keep going with this. And also, like, your feedback is greatly appreciated because I do listen to your feedback. It's really nice. But I hope you enjoyed, and as always, I'm excited to see you in the next video. Oh, and if you have any other custom card suggestions, please feel free to suggest that. And see you in the next video.